just been to a job. It's one of them jobs that's going to stick with you a very long time. Yeah, it's actually affected me a bit. I got asked to go and price for a combi. I was warned that the house was a bit of a mess. Anyway, I knocked on the door, and he said, "Oh, just a minute." Anyway, about 10 minutes later, he comes to the door, and you know when something's a mess, you can just tell from the outside. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. I'm probably not going to show anything, but anyway, I walk in and the ceiling's all on the floor in what I assume was, I don't even know what room it was, but anyway, the ceiling's all on the floor, and there's water pouring out the roof, from the tanks in the roof. Anyway, he said he'd had another plumber come out and he couldn't get to it or whatever. So I go up in the roof, I sort the leak out. Obviously, I probably won't get paid for that, but I'm not leaving water pouring through somebody's house. And obviously, he wants a price for a combi boiler. The problem is, I can't even tell. I think it was a back boiler in. I honestly you couldn't see anything. It was that full of stuff. He's obviously got no heating, no hot water. Social services has got involved, and yeah, it's just a mess. I mean, it took me, I think I was looking in the garden for about 45 minutes for the stop tap. Obviously, I couldn't get to the one in the kitchen. I couldn't even get in the kitchen. I couldn't even see where the kitchen was in the house. Obviously, he said he's going to get it all sorted, all tidied up and stuff, and he obviously wants me to put my combi boiler in. I couldn't tell how many radiators there were. I can't tell if the pipes are under the floor or if they're on drops. But obviously, yeah, this is the thing with this job. It can, obviously, you shouldn't let stuff affect you. But when you see what other people have got, they've got absolutely nothing, and then when you see what you've got, sometimes you don't realise how lucky you are. But yeah, I'll show a couple of little clips, I think, just what I was on about, and then I'm going to try and get a price sorted for a combi boiler, but I don't know how I'm going to do it because the gas meter's on the outside. That was the only thing I could see. We can run a new gas pipe on the outside across into the kitchen. I told him if it is a back boiler, we're not going to be able to keep the fire front because it's just not going to be in a serviceable condition. And he says there's a cooker as well. Again, I couldn't even get in the kitchen, so I did have a look at one of the wash basins in the toilet that he was using, and I'm not even going to say it, but yeah, it's probably one of the worst ones I've seen in a while. But yeah, I'll show a couple of little clips. I'm not going to go into masses of detail, but it affected me, that one. Yeah, hopefully my day improves a little bit because that is going to stick with me a while. Oh, it's the overflow on the tank, I think. I think it's just the ball valve. And it's probably the overflow leaking. I think so. It looks like some of the pipe work's a little bit crispy up here, but I think it's probably just on the overflow. I've just got to be a little bit careful because some of these joists are a little bit rotten. So just give me a minute and I'll have a proper look, alright? Yeah, I should be able to do something with it for you, sir, alright? I just need to see whereabouts it's leaking.
Shall I give you a ring, say Monday?
All I'll do is cap this off here. At least that's safe now. It's stopped the leak on the overflow. That'll eventually stop dripping, and I'm going to get the price sorted to get everything else done. I realised that overflow was going into that one. I didn't look at it properly first, so I'm just going to cap this off. They've got no hot water anyway, so all these are coming out. Well, when we can get it sorted. But that's the domestic tank. Yeah, we'll sort it. Right, this job's going to be a little bit of an interesting one. They've had an issue with this secondary recirculation for a while. I came out, it's it all disappears above suspended ceiling. Well, it's not suspended ceiling, it's like fiberboard, but you can't get it out. None of the pipes are lagged across because we've drilled some holes in, and the return temperature comes back too low. This is the secondary return. Obviously, it's quite a long run. We've got a direct gas-fired Andrews water heater. It's a really old building. They've always had an issue with this secondary return. Now, what I suggested, obviously, plan A would have been lag all the pipes, obviously, because it just acts like a big radiator circuit. You lose all your temperature. I think the hot water comes back at about 30 degrees, so the taps at the far end are tepid. This has been running. I've only just turned it off, and it's cold. The secondary return, it's cold. So what I wanted to do was put a bigger pump in, so obviously get the water moving faster. It sort of masked the problem. Not ideal, because obviously it's not a very efficient way of doing it. But what they've had somebody come out and they've said, bang another pump in there. I don't think it's going to work. It will sort of work, but it's still not going to get the return temperature up, I don't think, at that far end. But it's one of them jobs. I've just been told what to do. I would have sooner put like a 25-55 secondary return pump in here to push the water a little bit quicker out the cylinder. At the end, the cylinder probably would have fired more, but at least it probably would have got some return coming back to the far end. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I've been asked to put a new pump in here. That's what I'll do. And they've got an electrician coming as well, so he'll flex it up. I'll flex it up for the time being because I want to make sure it all works. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, see if it works. I don't think it will, so just quickly take through the plant. I've just isolated the hot off the top, and I've isolated the secondary over there. I'm a bit concerned that looks like a vented cylinder. I don't think this one is unvented, so I'm not sure. A bit naughty putting a valve on that hot, really, because I think that there is the vent. The actual valve should be there, so I'll probably take the handle off that. This is just the tank fed, so in theory, if that valve's shut, you lose your vent, but I haven't done that. That's how it's always been. What else have we got? So we've got a secondary return that loops all the way, so that's our hot flow. That disappears above all there. It's not suspended ceiling. It's not asbestos board, but it's a weird building, and it goes all the way to the far end. Really old. This has never worked, this secondary, not properly, because none of it's lagged. It comes all the way back on this 22. And then this pump pushes it back into the cylinder, so it's just a loop all the way around. And as I say, this pump works because I've turned it off, but you can see on your head gauges that it works. So all I've been asked to do is put another pump over there, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not optimistic that it's going to achieve the results, but I don't reason why. Sometimes we just do as we're told. Somebody was asking about plant rooms the other day, so I'll quickly take you through this one while we're here. That's just a microfill that automatically pressurises the heating system. As soon as the pressure drops, it'll top it back up. On big systems you find that. The fill loop shouldn't really be connected, but you often see that. So inside there's a little brake tank and a pump, so it's not connected to the main, so that's how they get over the fluid category. So your commercial heating system's fluid cat 4, so you can RPZ valve protect it. You shouldn't have a fill loop like that, should be disconnected. But you'll see them connected all the time. We've obviously got two ideal Evo Maxes going straight out there, the flues, low loss header. Sometimes you'll see plate separation on these if they're really old systems. Obviously they've just done it as a header, so you've got your pumps there, and then you've got your main that just circulate around, and then you've got your main heating pumps. You've obviously got your panel, direct gas fired water heat. This isn't heated by the boiler, this is gas fired. So you've obviously got a burner, heats it, then your flue should really have a clip on there. As I say, that valve shouldn't be on there. If I select the secondary, I was going to isolate the cold in, but that valve is so stiff. I've lifted on them, you have to lift them up and then pull the valve down, but it's so stiff. There's another secondary circulation, but that only does like a couple of sets of toilets. That one works. We do get return temperature on that one. It's this one that goes to the far end of the building. So again, I've just isolated that one off, and then you've got no end of tank cold feet and stuff coming in. So yeah, I'm just going to get this job done. There's no asbestos in here, they've had it all surveyed, and I'll get this one sorted. Another interesting thing in this place, it's all polyarc on the cold. The hot and return are done in copper, all the cold is done in polyarc, so it's done in like the 70s as like a prefab type thing. You won't be able to see any of it in here because it converts back, but I've done a few leaks here above the ceilings, and it is all polyarc. So yeah, you don't very often see it anymore. And as I say, they just disappear through. It's all like flat roof and then just fiberboard ceilings, and they just disappear. So none of it's lagged above there. that there's your dosing pot for your heating system, so you can put all chemicals and stuff like that in and check inhibitor levels. That just connects onto the return, so you can put your chemicals in there, dose it through, and then top it back up. So something you see on commercial systems. Right, this is a bronze secondary circulation pump. It's different to a normal heating pump, as in the fact that it's stainless, not steel. If you put a normal steel one on it, it would rust out really quick, because obviously it's fresh oxygenated water going around the system all the time. So normally we'd have to check which way the other one's going, but it should be going back into the cylinder, so it's making a loop all the way around. And then they just connect on with normal standard pump valves. So we'll probably mount that something like that, just with normal, as I say, normal pump valve, so you can isolate it, and then we'll see if it makes any difference. I'm not optimistic. It will mask the problem, but it won't actually solve the problem, in my opinion. I think they'd have been better off putting a bigger one in there. I don't know why somebody's put low temp on that. Oh, they put low temp on it because it's never worked. It always comes back as low temperature. So honestly, it's tepid. I've just ran the tap at the far end, and it takes like, well, not 5 minutes, but it takes about 3 minutes for it to get any hot water through. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, but this has never worked. So the pump works, because you can see it on your head gauges, but the actual circulation doesn't. We'll give it a go anyway. It won't do any harm, but it might not fix it. That's just got the lagging stripped off. You can see years ago when this was first put in, none of it was lagged, and that's the issue we've got across. So this may be 3/4 when we cut into it. You can always use a 3/4 olive fitted. So what I'm going to do is cut here, cut there somewhere, and we'll mount the pump there. I'm pretty sure them pumps are going that way. It's hard to tell because the arrows are on the back. Sometimes you can press your finger in. Well, I can tell on the head gauges anyway. When I switch it back on, I can always flip this pump around, but it should be going that way. So we'll cut there, and then, yeah, get this pump fitted. What I'll do is get all this pipe prepped up first, just in case we need to slam the valve on. We will get some water here, but I'll have the gate valve all bossed up, the pump valve all bossed up, jet blued up, and then get all this pipe clean. I'll just cut the pipe and then put the thing on. You can see it's been painted because obviously at some point it's been on the surface. So we get all that prepped, and then say preparation is the key in plumbing. That one's turned off anyway. The hot taps have stopped, but because this is lowest point, I don't really want to drain the cylinder. It's not going to do any damage if we get a bit of water anyway. So we've got everything ready. That's my jet blue. This is all RAS approved. Nearly empty actually. So what I'm going to do, I don't normally do this, I'm just going to put a little bit of paste around the inside of the olive, just in case I get a little bit of water. So it's just ready to slam on. Normally what I do is put my nut and olive on the pipe, and then jet blue it and then over the top. But I'm going to do it like that, just in case I get a little bit of water. So we'll get that cut, and then get that valve on. So just a little bit on the inside of that fitting. I don't normally do them like that. It's just that if I get a lot of water, I just want to be able to pop that on. So I've got my bucket ready. Hopefully we can get this on. Whip it out of that clip. So we'll get a bit of water here. Not too bad. So it's all in the preparation. going to sit just there. It's going to miss the other heating pump. I have measured it. So we've got that first valve on. I prefer the rubber pump washers over the fibre ones, because the rubber ones are much easier to undo in the future. They don't tend to bind. So yeah, the rubber ones, they are rubber. They're just red. You see, they're flexible. So I always put the valve on, then we can measure the distance in between, cut that pipe, and then just get that pump fitted. And the good thing with these Nipex grips is they open wide enough to fit pump valves. You probably can't see very well because they're awful camera work, but like the same ones on the Rothenberger don't open wide enough. So I just nip them up. They're on rubber washers anyway, so I can't get in there very easily, but you see what I mean, they just open wide enough. You can actually go a little bit wider with them as well, but the Rothenberg ones don't fit pump valves or siphons, whereas they do. I don't know what size you call them, but they're, like, I call them medium grips. What's it say? I don't know, I'll measure them in a minute, but yeah, they're good grips, them ones. They're like, what are they, 230? I don't know if they call them like, yeah, I don't know, 230 they are. Anyway, going back onto this, that's all fitted. I've just got to flex it up. We have got an electrician coming anyway, but what I'll probably do is try and feed my flex down into the isolator and then just tag it off that. I don't know if he's going to put a secondary isolator in, but I just want to see if it all works and get the temperature up. Just curious. Yeah, done my best with that. Obviously I've just got to put the clip tops back on, just took them off to give me a little bit of movement on the pipe. So I'll just screw them back on, get the tap shut off, get the water turn back on, and then make sure they've got the pump going the right way. So I've switched the Andrew's water heater back on because I want to boost the temperature back up. Really we want to be 60, 65 on a system this size. Still need to take the handle off that. I isolated it all while I was working on it because I didn't want the vent being blocked off. In theory it would have gone back up the cold feed, but it's surprising how quick. I mean, it wasn't hot. It was probably only at about 50 anyway when I came in, but it is building back up to temperature. So we need to make sure that's set. I just need to get my pump wide in and then we can do a test at the far end, see how long, well, see what temperature we get back here on the secondary return connection, and then see what temperature we get at the far end on the taps and on the secondary return points. So yeah, we'll just let that heat up. I'll wire the pump in and then we can give it a test. I'll show you on the camera what temperature we're getting now. I still don't think it's good enough. It's not been running that long, so we can let it run a little bit longer, but it's about 37, something like that. 40, maybe it's picking up. I can't check it at the far end. We'll let it run a little bit longer. Ideally we'll be looking for anywhere above 50. It's still low. Yeah, some jobs you can only do your best on. We'll go and check how long it takes to get through to the taps. But yeah, I've got both pumps working. I've just wired it back into there for the time being, but they are going to come sort that out. But yeah, it's what, 30, 39, if I can hold the camera still. About 40 in it. So yeah, we'll go on. Right, this is the one at the far end. I've just turned that tap on and we'll see how long it takes to get hot. I don't know if the sun is affecting the thermal camera. There might be a bit of air in it. In theory, there are obviously our pipes coming down. The one on the left is the return. So I don't think it's going to work very well. Still cold, isn't it, there? You know when you're not happy with the job? Well, I wasn't happy with that job. I've decided to put the new pump where the old pump was. It just wasn't working. It just wasn't any better. I think the old pump had gone a little bit weak anyway, so I don't think it was doing a lot. So I've just put that in there like that and we'll see if the temperature builds up. Really, I think it wants a bigger pump on it. Obviously this never works. You are finding a losing battle. You can see it is working, the pump now. I don't know what speed I've got it on. But I just wasn't happy with it. Is it working? I think it is. I think it's just quiet. Right, I've done my best with this. Returns only coming. What was that? Right, I've done my best with this. Returns only coming back at 42, but there's nothing I can do. I've been round, tried to balance the secondaries up on the gate valves, the appliances. I've pulled it through to make sure there's no airlock. The trouble is there's not a lot of head on it, so the chances of it airlocking is quite high. But you can only do your best. Probably is a little bit of air in it still. But what can you do? It's never worked. The only thing you can really do is probably bang a bigger pump in. And even then, it's only going to move the water quicker. It's not really going to, literally it runs probably I don't know, 25 metres that way, and none of it's lagged. So it's just losing the heat. In the winter, when the heating's on, the caretaker says it passes, because it's obviously picking heat up off the heating pipes. But it's never going to work properly. But you can only ever do your best. That's all you can ever do.